channel if you happen to be new here. My name is Jess. Surprise, surprise, today is day 6 of 7 days of top 7. As always, I'm really loving this. I'm really excited for today's prompts because I have a whole lot of books to talk about. It was so hard to narrow it down to 7, but I'm still really excited to talk about them. It is the 7 books that exceeded your expectations, like the top 7, and some of these I'm gushing to talk about them because I absolutely love them. I cannot believe it took me so long to read them, and a lot of them were surprises. One of them was sent to me, and one of them I just picked up on a whim and absolutely loved, and I need to tell you guys about them. So let's go ahead and just get started. So the first book I actually just recently read, it would be Nixia by Scott Rentigen. I don't know how to say his name. If you do, please leave it down below. But this book was not at all what I was expecting, and I don't know why, because I didn't really go into it with any kind of expectation other than I sort of knew the storyline. It's about a boy named Emmett who is he's kind of like drafted in a way by this company to mine this incredibly dangerous material that our world is kind of built around in this book. And the reason why this book surprised me so much is because I thought it was going to be, just like aliens and things like that, but it was so much more about character development, and I loved the characters in this book. Bilal is my favorite character aside from Emmett. I absolutely adored it. It was a lot more hard to read at times than I expected it to be, in the sense of the corporation that he works for is not a good corporation, obviously. So I don't know what I was expecting from this book, but it by far exceeded my expectations, and if you guys have seen this in the store, I would definitely pick it up. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it was just so wonderful. Now let's talk about the book that surprised me the most this year. It would be The Raven Boys by Maggie. If you guys are familiar, if you've seen my review on this, it took me about 250 pages to get into this, but oh my god, did I love it. It by far exceeded my expectations. I have heard a lot of people say that they didn't like it, and that everyone else that I know said it's really, really slow for the first part of it, which is 100% true, but the twists and turns in this book towards the later half of it, oh my god, totally worth the read. Definitely the most surprising book that I read this year, and by far exceeded my expectations. Now this is a book that I picked up on a whim that I didn't know if I was going to like. I actually thought it was a comic, and I don't necessarily know why. It would be Want by Cindy Pon. This is about our main character. He is trying to save his world essentially from this corporation that is ruining the environment. So he kidnaps the daughter of the man who kind of runs the corporation to get more information from her, and then lets her go. And he finds himself knee deep in the corporation when he kind of has to go undercover. And the reason why I love this is because nothing is what it seems in this book. It was so, so good. And because I went in with such low expectations, I think that's why it really, really surprised me. It is so well written. There's so much diversity in this book as well, and it was so wonderful. If you guys have not read it, I would definitely recommend it. It was so, so good and so, so cool. The storyline, the ending of the book, you're just like, oh my god, I cannot believe that's what happened. It was one of those books, and I definitely recommend it. Now, as you guys know, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. However, a couple of his books I've been kind of about recently. So when this book came out and my husband bought it for me, I was like, I don't really know if I'm going to like it. It is a short story compilation, which I tend to like from him, but I didn't really have any kind of expectations, and I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. It would be Full Dark, No Stars. This is, as I said, a short story compilation, and I loved every single story in this, and it's so ridiculous that I can say that because I tend to, when I read short story compilations, be like, there's a couple that I'm like kind of whatever about. Like Different Seasons by Stephen King has one story and they're called The Breathing Method, which I'm not a huge fan of, but overall I do like the book, but there's still like one story that I'm kind of wishy-washy on. However, in this book, I loved every single story in this. I think it is wonderful. If you haven't read this, I would definitely recommend it. It is pretty creepy. Obviously, it's Stephen King, but it is still a really, really good book, and I'm so glad that I love this because I think this book is what got me back into wanting to read more Stephen King, and I'm really excited to finish the last few books of him that I haven't read this year. Now this is actually a poetry book that I've spoken about before on my channel. It's The Princess Saves Herself, and this one by Amanda Lovelace. The reason why this surprised me so much is because I'm not a huge fan of poetry. I tend to find poetry a little lackluster because, as I said, I write poetry, so it's honestly kind of hard to write poetry and read poetry. It's a little weird for me, but this book surprised me because it is written in a way that it is from like a story perspective. It's like a story that she is telling, and I feel like you really get to know Amanda in this, and that is why I love it so much. So if you haven't read this and you are a fan of poetry, I would definitely recommend it. And the next book I have here, the reason why I didn't think that I was going to like it or why I had such low expectations is because I don't know very many people that do. It is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I'm a huge Neil Gaiman fan, so I was hoping that I would like it, but I honestly didn't think that I would, and I absolutely did. It is definitely that creepy, far off kind of Neil Gaiman vibe going on, but I still think it is absolutely wonderful. The story is very weird, very like, it's written in a very weird way as well, which he tends to do anyway, but I still really enjoyed this book, so it exceeded my expectations because I didn't think that I was going to like it, and I actually absolutely ended up loving it. I just realized this book has been in my videos a lot recently, but I can't not talk about it. This is a book that I actually read and didn't like, and then actually started listening to the audiobook and fell in love with it, and I'm almost done with it for the second time, but I just love this book. It is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. The reason why this exceeded my expectations is because, like I said, I actually read this book and did not like it, and then sat down to listen to the audiobook and absolutely loved it. So I am probably about 60% of the way through on my read-listen of this book, and I can't get enough of it. It is, I don't know if I was just in a bad mindset when I read it the first time or not, but I really am liking it this time around, and if you haven't read these, I would recommend it. It's a very hard story to read. It's about a man. It starts out when he is a boy, and it talks about like his life and how he became the person that he is today, and the person that he is today is quite worth the read. But I really enjoyed this book, and it definitely exceeded my expectations because honestly, I didn't like it the first time, like I said, but I'm really loving it this time around. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you for tuning in for day 6. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I know it's like a lot to put 7 videos out at once, not just for me in filming them, but also like for you guys for watching them. I know that's a lot of videos to have up at once to see, but I hope you guys are enjoying this, and I hope you guys will follow along, but I hope you guys are having a good week, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye!